and welcome to Garbology. We got Zach and we got Anthony. How's
What's
it
up,
going?
guys? Happy Valentine's Day.
Yeah. Okay. So, what are you going to be
So,
today, Zach?
hang on.
Welcome to Garbology.
Let me turn the audio down on my phone. I know. Trial and error.
Yep, that's all it's about.
That's okay. I'm the only one that's in there.
Everybody else is handing out Valentine's Day gifts, and
Yeah, they're doing something. No, so I thought we'd start off, Anthony, with an update on what we've been doing with the museum. So, for those of you that don't know, I had owned a company called Refuse Truck Media. Had a Facebook page, and I actually got a pretty decent following on it, up to I think it was up to like 10,000 followers. But I stopped doing stuff with it really after COVID. COVID just kind of killed my business. Plus, with the stuff I was doing for the military and my schedule change and everything. Plus, with having another kid, it just made it too hard to dedicate the time needed to actually get out there and do what invest the time that I was investing in it before. So I did just kind of sat idle for a number of years. But when Anthony and I started the museum and we realized we needed to get like a social media presence and everything, I was like, well, I got this Facebook page just basically just sitting there with 10,000 followers. Why don't we just convert it over to the museum page? And that way we already have an audience of people that care about garbage and care about the industry. And that way we're not having to start from scratch. So that's what I did earlier this week, changed everything over. We brought on a really awesome, talented marketing person that's working with us. She's just killing it, designing some brochures and stuff for us. And we actually got confirmed and built everything out for Waste Expo. So we got a booth on the floor and got all that finalized and whatnot. So some pretty exciting stuff. And then Anthony, why don't you tell us about some of the stuff that's been going on with the trucks that we've been trying to get worked on this week. I know you had a couple. We were talking about the Wayne and the MB.
Yeah, so the Wayne, it's a 1980 International S Series chassis, and so we had it picked up from a local place. Found out it had some water in the motor, and the motor's locked up in it. So I called Zach and was telling him about it. So now we got a couple of ideas that we're working on right now, trying to figure out if we're going to get a chassis from Jesse Kilbird. He's got a couple of ideas that he's kind of looking for us. And then also we need to get a chassis for the MB pack. Seems like things are just falling in our lap all of a sudden, which is really weird.
Yeah.
Which is a good thing, but no like magic $20,000 donation coming out of nowhere to help support some of the costs into this. So we're working on that right now also too for donations. So
yeah, hopefully we can get some good visibility at Waste Expo this year with some of the stuff that we've been doing.
Well, that's our focus, is getting donations at Waste Expo, talking to some different companies, manufacturers, right people that we need to talk to, get our name out there.
Have you guys thought about
starting to...
Oops, sorry. Have you guys thought about doing a GoFundMe page?
Oh, no, go ahead.
That would be a smart idea. It would be a really good approach.
I'd have to do more research into it. I don't know how GoFundMe works with nonprofit donations and how that if people donated to us, how they would get the tax write-off essentially. I mean, right. I'm not opposed to it by any means.
Yeah, you might want to look into it, because when I was looking at it for a friend, there was stuff for non-for-profit in there.
Okay.
So you might want to really look into it, because it might help you guys out. I mean, throw it up on your channel, throw it up everywhere, and we'll even post links to it in the group as well.
Yeah,
we'll get it out there. We can get your Dumpster. I also, if you guys want to check him out on Facebook, there is a link in the description of this page, of the main page, to his Facebook channel. So definitely go over there and follow as well, and definitely like his page.
Yeah,
all the
please.
Links. Yep,
absolutely.
And speaking of the Facebook pages, we did break down to where and Zach and I had this conversation about this. We're going to keep the main one focused on what Zach is focused on and what we've been like focusing on. And we decided to break the other one to a more of a chapter style Facebook, more locally, more managed locally, stuff that I can get out locally to get it out there to people. So that's kind of, we're going to test that market out a little bit and see if we've had some feedback on it.
Well, so
I think it's cool.
So my company page is just a page where you can like it. But the one that you created, that's a group.
Right. If you click on the little three little dots, you can actually follow you. There is the option to follow you.
Oh yeah. Well, on the Facebook page, but the group, because of how when Facebook redid the privacy rights on groups and whatnot, we made it private when we started it, and we control when people post, we control the content on there, just because with Anthony and I are both moderators on the Vintage Refuse Truck Facebook group, which is also a closed group. I think we're up to probably close to 6,000 or 7,000 people that have joined that group, but it's pretty strict, just because and I'm sure Sean, being part of the Facebook garbage truck community, there's a lot of groups out there. There's for drivers, union, all that stuff, and it can get pretty gossipy and just it could get stupid. So when we created the Vintage Refuse Truck group, which was kind of a online presence for classic refuse trucks, we used to have back in the day, an MSN groups page for classic refuse truck, and then MSN groups went away, and then it moved to Flickr, and then Flickr moved away. So it's well, let's just do something for Facebook. So we've kept it pretty close knit, and we moderate it pretty heavily, just because there's groups out there if you want to post something new or driver centric, and hey, look at this funny thing I saw on route, or bitching about something. There's groups out there for that. We want to keep our groups dedicated to what the focus is on it. And then on top of that, you have a lot of people, spammers, that they want to boost their graphic design business, or they'll just come in and spam everything. So yeah, we keep it pretty locked down. But the Facebook page, we're going to focus it on what we're doing as a museum, the things that we're working towards, the goals, and just kind of the vision. Plus, kind of keep it to what I was doing before with it, where it's safety focused, industry related. It doesn't have to necessarily be about the museum. So yeah, we're excited to see where it takes us. I'm still getting my feet back under me, trying to run a social media page full time. But yeah, I'm excited.
It's hard. And you want to know what's funny is, check this out. So I met you guys through one of our other friends, right?
Yeah.
And I actually was following your group before the one of your groups. I was following it before I met you guys. Yeah. So it's so funny that when you guys came on, I'm like, damn, I guess I'm already a part of their group. I don't got to follow it. You guys are sending it to me. I'm like, what? I can't follow. And I looked around. Oh, I'm already following it. Damn.
Yeah. Nice.
It's a really neat group though, man. All the older equipment that you post in there, that's awesome stuff.
Yeah. Well, and that's what we really wanted, because, like my Facebook page, yeah, it's cool. But, it's just me posting stuff. Whereas, the group, you get, oh my goodness, we've gotten people that have joined that have heard about it, and they're posting stuff from their company or pictures that they took when they were kids, and it's just it's a true community dedicated to the love of vintage garbage trucks, essentially, so it's pretty cool.
Right. It's very, very cool, man. Like I thought it was interesting, like just seeing the trucks that you guys post, and it's like, wow, that's what we came from.
Yeah, well, and it's the community aspect, because I don't know what I don't know, and I don't have all the pictures. So, getting it brings the people that have the shoebox in the closet with a whole bunch of old pictures that they took, of the company that they had 30 years ago. That was 3 generations. Going, oh hey, now I have a place to share this stuff with the community that actually will appreciate it.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
It's really neat. And definitely, if you guys get into the town, I've said this in one of the other episodes, definitely go to the museum and check out the museum.
Yeah. So I was talking with Scott Collier earlier today, asked if he wanted to come on and, join us for an episode, but he was all like, no, I'm going to go hang out with the wife. And then I was giving him a hard time. I was like, you'd rather go hang out with the wife on Valentine's Day than come talk garbage trucks with us. But Scott Collier is awesome. He's what's that?
Oh, go ahead.
So
I got dinged today too by talking garbage. So.
Oh yeah, of course. But anyway, no, I was talking with him. So Scott, awesome guy. I've known him for probably going on 10, 12 years now. He is the, lack of a better word, curator of the Waste Pro Museum down in Stamford, Florida. And I've before Anthony and I got our museum, he was my main customer for when I'd find old trucks on my travels or hear about old trucks. So yeah, I've gotten him a couple old Garwoods, that original Collectomatic and whatnot. So they've done awesome things with their museum. Like I hope one day we can get to the level that they're at with the space. It helps to have, the kind of resources that they do. They're very frugal and focused in how they spend their money, rightfully so. But what they've done with their museum is awesome. So I was talking with him about maybe recording an episode where we do a walkthrough of the museum, and he shows us all the trucks and everything that they've been doing. It'd probably have to be a couple part, because it's pretty big down there with all the stuff that they've been doing, not just on the truck part, but with the displays and the diagrams and the trying to showcase the history of a truck that got donated or a truck that they worked on and fixed up. So that's probably going to be coming in a future episode. And then Anthony, you were talking to a gentleman earlier today that reached out to you that we might try to bring on next week, right? Do you want to talk about that really quick?
Yes. Yeah, so the company is out of Springfield, Illinois. He found us through his dispatch or an employee that works for him. The company's made up of 50 individual family members that have say-so on how the company runs as a board. And he was telling me that his great grandpa started the company back in the late 1900s. Horse and buggy, one of the first garbage guys to start garbage pickup in Springfield, Illinois. He said how he started was back then you probably heard the term called ragmen. Well, back then they used to pick up dirty rags, take them and clean them, bring the clean ones in and take the old ones. Well, it got to be where people started burning their garbage. So he would scoop up the garbage in a cardboard box, put in the back of a horse and get rid of it. Well, then he bought a pickup, and then of course history went from there. And I just listened to the guy. I thought this is a guy we need to have on a podcast. So working on trying to get that lined up between Sean and then this guy to make sure he understands how to work YouTube and all that. But he's open to coming on next weekend, so stay tuned on that.
Yeah, that'd be awesome.
It definitely would be. Yeah. And on that one, we're going to dual channel stream them
Absolutely. Yeah.
On 2 channels. Yeah. Let's get all of our viewers in this.
Yep.
Yeah. It'd
Nice.
be really
Awesome.
cool,
So big things coming. I'm excited. We're moving at breakneck pace right now. So I think that's all the updates I had, Anthony, unless you had anything else you wanted to talk about.
Nope. I think just you hit everything. Waste Expo. We'll announce more on once we get more on what we're doing. We'll do a big announcement on that for sure.
Yeah, awesome. So today I figured we go through another Dempster video. We went through 2 a couple weeks ago, the Dempster Dumpster and then the Dempster Dump Master. So I figured we watch the Dempster Dinosaur, which was another breakthrough item for Dempster that they produced. Now, what's funny about not funny, but so Dempster was one of the early companies that created roll-off. I wrote an article about this probably 4 or 5 years ago about like the history of roll-off and where it came from and who started it. But in all my research, I can't figure out who designed the first roll-off. One of the early companies that I know about actually came from Portland, Oregon, was the Cleanout family with the continuous chain roll-off. But I don't know. It seems from what I've seen, it kind of spontaneously evolved on both coasts. So this was Dempster's version of that. So it's kind of fallen out of favor. The reeving and cable roll-offs are pretty, and now hook lifts are pretty much the dominant player in the market. The only companies that I really see running these now are scrap guys. I know there's one company in Seattle that exclusively runs Dempster dinosaur hoists with boxes, and there's only a handful of companies that even make the hoists from Galbraith, being one of them. But for vernacular terms, if you ever hear inside rail box, that's a Dempster box, essentially, because of how they sat on the rails. They basically sat on top and they were drug up, whereas your traditional outside rail, they ran on rollers on the outside of the rails. So, yeah.
But we got Eddie in the chat saying, hello, guys, and maybe he can get his dad on also. He's 83 and has a lot of knowledge and history.
Oh, Eddie, that sounds awesome. Reach out to us on Facebook and hit us up on
Eddie. Ask him if it's Eddie.
He said it's
Eddie Cook.
It is Eddie
That
Cook.
might be the guy. Okay, yep, that's the guy I was telling you about.
Okay, awesome. Hey, Eddie, thanks for joining us.
Hi, Eddie.
So cool. All right. Well, with that, I'll go ahead and start the videos, and we can, if you want to stop and say anything as it's playing, just let me know and I'll pause the video.
All right.
Can you guys hear it?
Eddie might have some questions that we go too. So. Man, I feel like I'm watching Flintstones here.
The Flintstones, yeah. These guys were marketing geniuses back in the day.
Everything.
Yeah.
Is the audio okay? Can you guys hear it okay?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
This is the Dempster Dinosaur, the world's newest system of bulk materials handling. Looks like any another truck, but it's oh so different. For instance, did you ever see a truck stop and without the driver leaving the cab, put its body off on the ground? Or Did you ever see a truck back up to a container loaded with 34,000 pounds, 17 tons of loose gravel, and pick it up so gently that not one piece shifts or slides?
So this is actually their plant outside, and those buildings are still there today.
Wow.
It's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's really cool.
Oh, wow.
Yes, this is the Dempster Dinosaur. This is the new system that promises unlimited possibilities for more efficient bulk materials handling. The need for such a system has long been with us. Of course, the concept of one truck and one driver handling many detachable containers has proven its efficiency for over a quarter of a century. And during this quarter of a century, we have seen these detachable containers grow to larger and larger capacities, until the ceiling for efficient handling with conventional equipment was reached. Fortunately, the requirements of the majority have been, and will continue to be, met by conventional size containers. But an important segment of users are in need of giant containers and heavier payloads.
Now that's flipped.
To achieve these heavier
With
payloads,
roll-off
it became
being the
obvious
easiest
that
way to
rather
break
than
into the
lift
market.
containers by sheer power, it would be necessary to employ a tilting skid frame. But how to get the larger containers up the skid frame? To some, the answer was ridiculously obvious. Why, just pull the containers up with cables and winches. First, 3 or 4 hydraulic cylinders to move the skid frame up and down.
3 or 4.
Add a couple more hydraulic cylinders, a power takeoff, a few shivs, cable, and we're ready to go. First, we hook the cable onto the container. Go back to the cab and throw on the power. It worked.
So they're just ripping.
Some sore heads who had to
You know what? I
operate
got
the
a
equipment and
question.
make it pay took the
Why don't
wrong
they do videos
attitude.
like this today?
What's that?
Why don't they do videos like this today? Tell me this would not get kids involved in wanting to get into the trash business.
Oh yeah.
Come on, man! Like they should do stuff like this today. Like that's
Yeah.
crazy. You know.
Well, I mean, they're totally ripping on cable like deadlift, like huge haul. They were one of the early markets, with the deadlift, which is still super popular in places like Chicago.
Right.
But yeah, like it's just, I think it's funny.
What has changed today than for roll off?
So very early roll-offs, you had a winch, and there were basically 3 different places that you can mount it. You can mount it up towards the cab at the top of the rails. You could do a mid mount, or you can do a tail mount. And each one of those positions gave you some advantages in terms of pulling power, just because of how pulleys work and whatnot. Honestly, today the technology has not evolved that much. What you will see now is reeving styles, basically where you have 1 to 2 cylinders that push and pull in opposite directions, so they're mounted like this, and basically the hydraulic cylinders, as they expand and contract, they shorten. They'll pull a container up. So what that gives you is you don't have to have as long a cable, and then as a traditional winch. Then you also aren't putting as much strain on the entire system overall. What's funny is actually probably the most recent advancement I've seen in roll-off technology, and I'm not talking hook lift now, I'm just talking straight cable roll-off, was probably the Heil system that Heil bought with what did they call it, Anthony? Do you remember? What was their roll-off system that they used where the Stinger...
Dual lift. There's a dual lift.
Well, so you had the dual lift, which was you could pick up The quick lift, yeah. So basically they had two systems. You had the quick lift, which was basically it had a stinger that bent down, so it kind of acted like a deadlift almost to pull the container up. But what was cool about it is it was a single reeving cylinder, and it moved all the way back, so you could move the container without the use of gravity, which is what Dempster is talking about here. And so that system, which Heil doesn't even make anymore, you can't really even buy it. I think they just continued it probably because they just couldn't break into the roll-off market sufficiently enough to really make a dent and justify making the rails. But in terms of moving a container without the use of gravity, like your traditional roll-off does now, is the continuous chain, which was developed and exclusively run in the Pacific Northwest, and then the Dempster Dumpster. So everything else you have to raise the boom and then let the slack out of the cable to get the container to drive down the back or roll off the back, essentially.
Right. Eddie still uses the winch system.
Yeah. I mean, if you keep it, in good condition, I mean, like I said, the roll-off technology has not changed much since it was originally developed in the early 50s. So
yeah. It's been crazy, like experiencing stuff with you guys, because even front load dates back to a long time ago, and to see that is like, wow, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, you would think that they would have changed or evolved, but it's still like the same. Like, I mean, in reality,
the principle is still the same. Exactly. Yeah. And I think so. All these technologies, so front load and roll off, really exploded, and happened because it's the technology boom right after World War II.
Yep.
And I guarantee you, if we had not, if World War II hadn't happened, a lot of this stuff probably would have happened, probably in the 40s. But right. Considering the fact that a lot of our men were, overseas, fighting the war, and then, they came home and they needed jobs, they needed to get out, and, it's just, plus the move from suburban or from city life to suburban life was a big factor in, trying to figure out how to handle all this trash. But
right. Yeah, it's crazy.
It is.
And I learned it with you guys, so.
Yeah.
Or from you guys. So.
Well, and just because the technology was there doesn't mean that every company adopted it. Like,
true.
I remember there's a book that Anthony and I have about the history of SCA waste, and the main gentleman that wrote it, who was one of the founders of it, this was post World War II. This was like early 50s to 60s. Like his dad basically, had two jobs. He'd go out and he'd build houses, and then he'd have this little route in Canton, Ohio, and he'd go and, he had a pickup truck. I think it was a dump bed. I don't remember. It was a dump bed truck, and he'd go and pick up his route, and, and then the son, who ended up becoming part of SCA Waste, he took it over, he built it up, and I don't think he didn't get his first Packer truck, which was like a Heil Collectomatic, until the 1970s, I want to say. So, and it was just him.
Yeah, that's
and
right.
I think he got big enough to where he could justify bringing on another driver, and whatnot. But yeah, like there's a lot of guys, especially before the consolidation of, companies with the rise of the nationals in the 70s, that they would just, they'd use what they have, because they didn't necessarily need the big Packer truck to go out and make the money. So
right. Eddie says we use a small hook truck to pick up 8 and 10 yards. We actually do at our division as well. 8 and 10 yards are not allowed on our big roll-offs. They don't allow it at our company.
Yeah. So the hook lift was a European design that came over probably in the 80s. But they've like a lot. There's companies that all they run is hook lift, just because the driver doesn't have to get out of the truck. You can move the container without, having, it's easy to move the container. And I mean, I've driven hook lift, and I've been able to, with very minimal training. I drove front load for, a handful of years before I worked for a small hook lift company, and we just picked up, like pallets and wood and whatnot. But, all he had were 50-yard boxes. That's all this guy. You just have 50-yard boxes. And I can remember I got to this new stop, and I was doing a container swap out, and the container was up against a fence. And I'm like, how am I getting, it was a tight area, but I made it work because, hook lift, and just, if you can drive a trailer, you can maneuver a hook lift truck and box around. But yeah, it's crazy. Like what Eddie was saying, the small little, hook lift trucks have revolutionized, especially with the uptick in under CDL trucks and whatnot.
Right.
And there's companies that all they do is just exclusively they make trailer roll-off trucks for, like landscaping companies and, guys that just want to try to break into the market.
Right. I've seen them too. And also the dual.
Well, out in all. Oh, go ahead.
Oh, no, go ahead, Anthony. You're good.
Go ahead, Sean.
Oh, you're good.
So out in Lincoln and Omaha, Nebraska, when I was out in that way a few times, these guys build their own wooden roll-off boxes. They pull them on a rollback tow truck, and they take them to landfill that way. And like just in Lincoln alone, I must have counted probably 15, 20 of those companies that pick up those boxes. And that's not including just the hook lift companies. Omaha and Lincoln, there's probably 500 hook lift companies that pick up little mini dumpsters like that. So it is in the Midwest, hook lift is big out here, especially like Zach was talking with all the dump trailers. It's like we're going in a whole nother generation of different way of picking up without having a CDL, because it is a big issue right now.
Yeah, especially with the baby ones. Yeah.
Right. They don't have air brakes. And we use Hinos, the best trucks in the world. We use the best trucks in the world. Hinos.
Yeah, and you're right, Eddie. They are very fast.
They break down all the time too.
Well, don't break down.
Nice. They spend more time in the shop than anything.
Nice. All right.
Yep.
Let's continue the video.
Yep.
Without being at all sympathetic or practical, they complained that there were too many working parts to cause maintenance problems. They took the unfair position that it was impossible to push a container off on a dock or flat car because, try as you may, it is impossible to push with a cable. Some bitter skeptics even hinted that cables, the best of cables, under the continued stress of 30,000-pound loads, would from time to time snap, causing delays, discomfort, and downtime. These objections from prospective customers led Dempster engineers, after many rejected ideas, to the basic principles behind the Dempster Dinosaur. First, simplification. Complete elimination of cables, shivs, winches, sprockets, and chains. Reduction of raise and lower cylinders to 2 double-acting units. The result was a piece of equipment with 3 basic moving parts. 2 cylinders which control the tilting frame, and a double-acting cylinder with a spring-loaded bale which pulls the container up the tilting frame. Here's how it works. Under each dinosaur container is a subframe or rack, whose center bar has a number of recessed hook stations spaced to coincide with the stroke of the bale cylinder. Let's watch as the Dempster Dinosaur picks up a container rack at demonstration speed. The tilting frame is raised, which lowers the spring-loaded bale to a point just above the ground. As the bale encounters the first hook station, its spring causes it to snap up and engage. Now the operator draws the bale cylinder forward, pulling the front of the rack up on the tilting frame. Next, the frame is lowered until it is aligned with the angle of the rack. At the same time, the bale cylinder is extended, causing it to leave the first hook station and travel along the center bar until the front of the second hook station is engaged. Reversing the action of the cylinder causes the rack to be pulled still further up on the tilting frame. As the bale is again pushed out, the bypass shuttle in the center of the hook station guides it past the back of the hook and puts it on the center bar, where it travels until the third hook station is engaged. Note that the load is now forward of the center of gravity, permitting the operator to lower the tilting frame until it rests on the chassis while continuing to pull the load forward. The bale now goes back for the fourth and last hook on this particular rack. As it is pulled forward into carrying position, 4 powerful locks engage to hold the rack and container securely during transit.
So yeah, that's my favorite part of the video because, I mean, the unless they did that, like you would never. It's hard to see how it actually works underneath, you know. And guys that used to run these trucks, they'd always tell me you're waiting for the clang because as that bale, because it's spring loaded, is going back, you can hear it catch when it goes from the metal into the whatever they call that, the catch.
Yes.
So
wow, that's pretty neat, man. Like I would like to see one of them work in my face. Like just I would like to see one work.
yeah.
That's interesting.
So yeah, I mean this clip just, you know, alone just for this video, I mean it's awesome, you know, from a guy who likes the engineering and the mechanics of how trucks work and everything. It's just like, unless they did this, like you wouldn't be able to see how it actually, you know, worked and functioned. But what was, you could say, smart about Dempster is if you invested into the dinosaur truck for years, they would not allow any other box manufacturer to make these style of boxes. So you had to, so that forced people to go to Dempster to buy the boxes that they needed.
Right.
So
interesting, man. Like that's crazy. So remember that one truck, that one roll off you showed me that one time where it automatically drives up, hooks up to the can and pulls the can up on the truck?
So that's a continuous chain truck from that. That's pretty much running the Pacific Northwest, and it kind of operates similar to this. But at the end of that little segment when he's pulling the rack up, you heard him say that 4 powerful locks engage the container, right? So that was another key thing that Dempster and that was almost exclusive until hookless came along to continuous chain roll-offs and Dempsters, is that they had automatic rear locks on the containers. Now, lots of companies, they require drivers to get out, and there's basically 2 different ways. You can get an air actuated automatic lock at the mounted to the end of your rails that lock down the back of the box, because they have the front hooks that hold the front of the box on, or the driver would have to get out and use a ratchet system and basically put a little hook on each side to manually do it.
Right. Wow.
So yeah, it's cool that, you know, that Dempster was thinking ahead, because they're like, I want to try to develop a system where the driver never has to get out of the truck for anything except to like open up the back when he's, you know, at the dump or transfer station.
Right. I'm surprised not to see them not installing like a hydraulic system, so it opens up almost like the rear loads or front loads or something like that. It opens up like that. Oh, I mean, but sideways. I'm surprised they haven't invented something like that yet.
Well, I mean, they do on compactor boxes. They come with wet hooks or wet kits, so you basically hook it back up, and then it's a lever inside the. You can either do it outside or you can do it inside the cab, where it basically raises the back of the compactor box. But
that's insane, man.
Yeah,
that's insane. Like, wow, they're making our jobs easier. I'll tell you that.
I've dumped one. They're not fun to dump. I did one at when I was working for Waste, I was a swing driver. I actually got to pick one up. Yeah, you had to hook up the 2 lines to your truck, and man, they were a pain in the butt to dump.
Yeah.
Rather than lock the brakes and pull the container up on the truck, it is permitted to roll back under the load, exerting a wedge effect with the tilting frame.
It's cool to see those old white 3000 cabs.
Yeah.
To stabilize the Dinosaur during pickup operations, this hydraulically operated roller jack is lowered. As the Dinosaur moves under the container, the roller jack provides constant moving support.
Yeah, this isn't something that's included in a lot of roll-offs anymore. I think you can special order it. But
to put the container on the ground, the pickup operation is reversed. Instead of pulling against the front of the hooks, the bale pushes against the backs until the container comes in contact with the ground. The swinging bypass shuttle hanging in the center of the hook station permits the operator to engage either the front or back of the station. Here, he holds the front of the hook while lowering the container to the ground. Now it is going down gently as the bale moves forward to engage the number 1 hook, which is held while the container is lowered the remaining distance to the ground. When the container is on the ground, the bale is extended downward.
Awesome. Thanks, Bob.
Until the number 1 hook is disengaged, permitting the truck to move away. When putting the container on a dock or railroad flat car, the bale exerts a straight push on the backs of all hook stations, starting with the back hook and moving forward by degrees until the front hook station is reached and the container is pushed inside the edge of the dock. To pick the container off the dock, this process is simply reversed. Often it is necessary to put a container into an inaccessible spot or align it. And here is how the Dempster Dinosaur does this job. Using the bale to lift the front of the container, the driver simply backs up at the proper angle and pushes it into position. Where space and maneuverability are a problem, containers are available with rear rollers that can be backed or pulled in the manner of a semi-trailer. Rollers lose contact during lifting operations. Where slick, icy conditions exist, a pair of retaining springs can be quickly raised to operational position. These springs engage lugs on the bottom of the container and prevent it from slipping while the bale moves from hook to hook.
That's true, Eddie.
The Dempster Dinosaur is easily mastered by anyone who can drive a truck. These simple levers do all the work. Now let's see why the Dempster Dinosaur fits into private hauler, industrial, military, and municipal operations. First, because of its simple design and light weight, it has a lifting ratio of 5 pounds of load for every 1 pound of its weight. This, combined with its excellent weight distribution, makes it possible for the Dempster Dinosaur to handle gross loads of approximately 30,000 pounds on a tandem axle chassis, or approximately 22,000 pounds on a single axle chassis. Actually, the weightlifting capacity of the Dinosaur is unlimited. As Archimedes said, "Give me a place to stand, a lever long enough, and I will move the earth." In a sense, the same is true of the Dinosaur's powerful lifting principle, for its lifting capacity is limited only by the size of the truck available. This is important to plants wishing to handle gigantic loads. Scrap metal dealers, who have made tremendous savings by placing conventional-sized containers at plants which generate scrap, may now, by using big capacity containers, extend their collection operations to plants 30, 40, and even 50 miles away from their scrap yards. The same principle applies to private refuse haulers, who wish to offer their service to plants many miles from their base of operations. The dinosaur system is practical anywhere large volumes of waste or other materials are generated at a single point, as occurs in many industrial plants, municipal incinerators, or institutions. Here, a single large container does the work of several smaller containers. Private haulers and municipalities faced with long hauls to distant disposal areas will find the big capacity dinosaur containers ideal for use as transfer station for either conventional collection trucks, packer trucks, or as portable dumps for use with the Dempster Dumpster system. In this housing project, the dinosaur container is placed by the side of a street to temporarily store refuse. Throughout the project, Dempster Dumpster containers are placed for refuse storage. Instead of using the system
I got
of
a video
carrying
about
each
that truck
container
too.
to the disposal area several miles away, this Dempster Dumpster GRD 304F2 mechanically picks up the container and hauls it to the dinosaur container only a few yards away. Here, the contents of the container are automatically transferred to the dinosaur container. In this manner, using a shuttle system, one Dempster Dumpster GRD, one Dempster Dinosaur, and several giant containers can serve all of the housing projects of a large city.
Or get a front
by
loader.
shuttling large quantities of refuse to distant disposal areas for dumping, which is easily achieved by opening the back doors and raising the skid frame. This same system, of course, applies to large industrial plants which have many waste accumulation points and a long haul to the disposal area.
But I mean that GRD, I mean that scenario to me is for somebody that's invested in the Dempster Dumpster, and you know it seems like a transitional thing, you know.
Yes. Like I do see I see the point behind it, but like front loads were invented at this time, so.
Oh yeah, like this is 1958. You know,
right.
Like I think they're just coming online with their mainstream front loader right now, and they created their first one, which is basically a two arms that they didn't design or invent, mated to a easy pack side loader or a Packmore body. Like that was their first front loader in 1955, and they're like, "Oh no, we can do better." Yeah. So that only lasted a little bit.
Right. But they still had them. He's just bringing that thing over and throwing it in a roll off. Like, what's he going to get? Like 6 containers?
Yeah. Well, I mean, if you think about it, like the Dempster Dumpster had been a system that had been around for 25 years at this point.
Right.
You know, so if you know municipalities, which you know are huge at this point, like I think the ratio of municipalities to privates, Anthony, correct me if I'm wrong, you know, back in the 40s and 50s is probably 50-50.
Right.
Yeah.
Which is now, and now it's like what, 90-10? Like maybe 10% of the municipalities out there actually like pick up their own trash.
Right. I mean,
yeah,
like
it's like back then it was a lot of municipalities did their own garbage back then.
Yeah.
Right. To be honest, I'd like to see that other truck work though. I'd like to see it go pick up a can, bring it over and dump it into the truck.
Oh, I got video. I got a video all about it.
Do you really?
You want to watch that next?
Yeah, we could do that because I got to see that, man. It just seems so interesting. I would like to see it, but dude, the truck just looks interesting.
Yeah.
Even though I know they're not going to fit too many cans in there, right? Think of going to an apartment complex. You put a lot of stuff on your truck quick. So even in front load, like you'll start feeling like you're packed out. You're truly not, but it'll feel like it. And then the roll-off container, like they're not going to put that much on there.
No.
A few cans, maybe.
Well, and they keep talking, you know, like 30,000 pounds worth of pulling power, right? That's nothing compared to what we have today. So talking about how technology has gotten better, like I think standard is 60 now,
right?
And you can get it. Yeah. You can get it upgraded to about 75 is what I've seen is the max on pulling. Because I mean, shit, dude, if you need more than 75,000 pounds of pulling power for a box, you're doing it wrong.
Yeah.
But so a little bit earlier in the clip when he was talking about Archimedes and, you give me a lever long enough and I can move the world. So a couple of years after this, in 1963, I want to say they came out with the Dempster Dyno trailer, which was a 40-foot long trailer designed to pick up Dempster boxes, which you see them now. But they're like specialty. I see them a lot with scrap guys. Use the roll-off trailers, and then you'll see them driving down the highway for like liquid or chemicals or stuff like that is what I typically see them. And it's funny because it's only like maybe a 15, 16, 17 foot box, specialty, enclosed thing, and it's sitting in the middle of the trailer. But they need that thing because they're either driving a long distance, so they want the fuel efficiency of a tractor trailer, or the weight of that thing is so heavy that they actually need it to be on a trailer for the weight distribution in the axles.
Right. Man, that's crazy.
Yeah. All right. Well, let's finish this video up and then we'll watch the other one.
All right.
Another area in which the Dempster Dinosaur presents opportunities for savings is in cargo handling. Here we see a standard railroad flat car being loaded by the Dinosaur. In this view, the containers are being pushed on over the ends of the flat car. However, in special situations, they may be put off on uncoupled cars by approaching at an angle.
So we actually have literature that we scanned where Dempster developed a system where the trailer can be, or the box can be moved
this means that the
horizontally
is the only
from the side
that can pick
off onto a
or
trailer.
put containers on standard flat cars without the use of heavy cranes or expensive extra heavy-duty forklift trucks. Then carry them over the road within legal load limits. To be delivered at a plant some distance from the railroad line. Here, the container may be lowered to the ground, pushed off on the dock, or left at dock height on sturdy telescopic let-down legs to be unloaded at the convenience of the consignee.
Yeah, these guys really branched out and tried to,
container is unloaded
use their system or offer their system for other markets outside of just,
after the bale
your traditional trash and scrap metal.
The front legs are retracted and the container is ready to be picked up.
It's funny how small the rail is compared to the chassis. And they have to pull the box forward past the front of the rails.
For motor freight cargo handling, LTL shipments to large consignees may be stored as they come to the terminal in a container placed at a loading port. When the container is full of freight, it will be taken to the consignee for unloading at his convenience. Yes, applications for the Dempster Dinosaur are seemingly endless, and containers for many applications and materials are available by merely fabricating them over the basic rack or subframe, like pressure and storage tanks for the chemical and petroleum field, hoppers, tool houses or mud boxes for oil well drilling contractors, stake side containers for handling heavy equipment, steel members, logs or sugarcane, and of course, the many standard containers, available in a wide variety of sizes up to 40 cubic yards and larger, with lids or back doors. Yes, with its large variety of containers and uses, its unlimited lifting ability, and its ability to transport huge loads over the road, the Dempster Dinosaur is an important addition to the materials handling systems of the world.
Here's the other one.
Dempster Brothers, creative engineers, successfully exploring new ideas to reduce your materials handling costs with the Dempster Dumpster system, presents the truck-mounted Dempster Dumpster GRD 304F2. The GRD 304F2, a new member of the famed Dempster Dumpster system of materials handling, has a full day ahead of it as the driver gets his pickup schedule.
So this is McWhorter out of Atlanta, Georgia. We saw one of their trucks in the front load video we watched the other week.
Dumpster containers to isolate and concentrate its waste materials. The contract hauler who owns the installation has it scheduled for first pickup. With the 304F2, the driver remains in the cab, backing the truck directly to the container. Then he engages it, lifts it, and moves on out of the same doorway designed for the bakery trucks, all in a matter of seconds. A touch on the fingertip hydraulic controls, and the container is raised to the carry position. And the truck-mounted Dempster Dumpster moves off toward the dump. The vehicle and its load travels smoothly, handles easily. At the disposal point, the container is raised to the dumping position. In this case, the driver is elevating it above the normal height to demonstrate the valuable high dumping feature of the F2. The emptying of the container is remarkably fast and thorough. Still completely controlled from the cab, the container is lowered to the carrying position.
So that bumper on the front is counterweight.
A little more than a minute for the entire dumping operation.
From dipping over or going backwards.
Yeah.
It is this speed and efficiency which has made the Dempster Dumpster system outstanding in the field of bulk materials handling. The 304F2 negotiates easily even in the thick traffic of a downtown area as it returns the emptied container to its bakery station. At no time, with the simplified controls, has the driver needed to leave the truck cab for any of the operations. Unsightly, unsanitary accumulations of rubbish and other wastes disappear almost like magic with the use of a Dempster Dumpster container. The open side door shows compacted wastes. From the dock, rubbish is easily deposited through either or both top lid openings. At busy collecting points, extra containers are recommended, and empty is placed in position. And the full one picked up. Again, both operations accomplished with unusual speed and efficiency. The fast pickup and discharge features of the F2, as we've seen, plus the remarkable ease of handling, its agility in heavy traffic despite the stops, starts, and turns found in any metropolitan center, have made the truck-mounted Dempster Dumpster a partner in a new and very successful application.
So this came out the same year as the dinosaur video. So they'd only been making front load at this point for about 3 years.
Especially adapted for refuse collections in large cities, the Dempster Dumpster is teamed with compaction-type trucks working in one section of the city at a time. The compaction truck, or it could be a non-compaction trailer body, is usually stationed within a few blocks of a number of the detachable containers. The operator is emptying the container from a higher position than normal to show the vast quantity of refuse being handled. Even as the refuse is compacted to clear space for the next load, the truck moves out and the container lowered to carrying position. Though not shown here, the operation is a nighttime service, night hours being best for collection and disposal in crowded downtown
So when
areas.
they were shooting this video, they also took pictures to use for their advertisement. And we got it's like an 18, 19 page brochure. It was kind of like a product line that shows pictures of that actually
using the
dumping out.
Dumpster
It's
system,
pretty cool.
services more than 200 containers, represented on his map by pins. The red flags indicate disposal points, landfills or incinerators.
Exactly, Eddie.
As his trucks keep moving on their appointed rounds, let's see a few of the other applications. For refuse is only one of the many materials to handle. For industrial plants, steel mills, processors, manufacturers of every kind, there is a Dempster dumpster built to meet every handling requirement. Containers are available or built to suit the material, be it solid, liquid, dusty, combustible, high temperature, waste or salvable, raw or finished products. Remember that one man, the driver, with one Dempster dumpster, can service scores of the big detachable containers to offer the user quick and efficient materials handling, clean sanitary buildings and grounds, at tremendous savings in equipment, time, and money. And now our driver's day is over. But he can tell you.
Glad you like it, Eddie. That's why we do it.
The unsurpassed Dempster dumpster system of materials handling is better than ever with the new Dempster Dumpster GRD 304 F2.
That was Zach. That was Zach that just went and got his camera. I've seen Zach videos.
What's that?
I said that was you. I seen you go do that and grab your camera.
Oh yeah.
Oh man,
I'm actually surprised that the 302 didn't take off more, because it seems like it's a more efficient way of handling those types of Dempster dumpsters than what we see today.
Yeah, I was gonna say, like, I am seriously shocked because you see like our mini trucks, right? They'll go out the mini hooks. That's more efficient than a mini hook. Like if they put like a 15-yard can down and picked it up, or a 10-yard can, which the mini hooks do, like that'd be better. That'd be better than what we have today, especially with the technology of today.
Well, and you know they're still used. I mean, the Dempster dumpster system is still used today. Outside of like traditionally it's scrap. I think I talked about this in I don't know one of the previous videos. So up in Seattle, both Republic and Waste Management use they have one Dempster dumpster truck that they use for specific stops where the weight of the material that is getting thrown in there is too heavy for a front load to pick up, because most front loaders have a typical lift capacity of anywhere from 8,000 to 10,000 pounds, but it's it needs to be enclosed, and maybe there's not enough space for roll off to get in there. So
right,
it's niche, and then scrap guys use it because they're picking up scrap, and they need the lifting capacity.
Right, I can see it still running. Like I can definitely see companies still using it.
Yeah,
like they're very interesting, and like I said, if they're bigger than a 10 or 15 yard, like if they're picking up them cans, it'd be perfect.
Yeah, and I think the reason the Dempster fell out of style is they sold in the 70s. And then they sold again, and then they didn't have the national presence that they used to, because back in the 50s, 60s, and I'd say even early 70s, like they were the national provider of commercial refuse. Obviously companies like Easy Pack, Heil didn't even get really into the commercial side of things until the 70s.
Right.
Leach didn't make their first front loader until the 70s. These were company, those were companies, Garwood, Leach, and Heil. They really just focused on the residential and the rear loaders. Right. Leach, to my knowledge, has never produced a roll-off. Heil bought Huge Haul, and they marketed Huge Haul for a while. And then they had the quick lift and the dual lift there in the 80s and the early 2000s. Garwood. So funny about Garwood is they tried breaking into the roll-off market in the 60s and 70s. They actually licensed, copy built the continuous chain roll-off, and they tried marketing it nationally, but it never took off because that would require guys to invest in different boxes than what were probably commercially available nationwide.
Right. So what got both of you guys into researching trash trucks? Like, what inspired you to do it?
I'll let Zach. Zach was more of that part of it.
Yeah, I'm more the history. I don't know. I think Anthony just knows what he knows from all his history or from his experience and whatnot. I'm the kind of guy that goes out there. I don't know. I've always had a love of history, archaeology and stuff like that, and garbage. I don't know. The trucks have always been a passion of mine. So I always, plus how my brain is wired and like mechanics and stuff. Like I don't know. I geek out on this stuff.
Right.
I don't know.
You guys done so much research. Like I know. Like I pick up trash too, but like never in my mind did I think I'm gonna go out and research a trash truck or find out what invented it. Then I met you two, and you guys just gave me so much history, and it's like, actually, this is really interesting. Like it's really interesting.
Well, and I can't. So I can't take I can't take credit for all this. I mean, Eric over at Classic Refuse Truck. I mean that dude knows more than shit. He's probably forgotten more about the history of garbage trucks than I'll know. Like. I care, a lot of my focus has been like, front loads, West Coast stuff and whatnot. Eric lives out here on the East Coast. And so, his experience, him growing up, like he's big into Garwood and trucks more, and the trucks that, he grew up with out here. And then when I met him after he started his website back in 2005. Like, I kind of brought like my research and my passion for front loaders and commercial collection and the West Coast, and kind of just built out his knowledge, not knowledge base, but his website stuff on that. And it's legwork, man. Like, I can't tell you how many companies I've just cold called. Like I can cold call anybody because I've done it so much, and just be like, hey, this is what I care about. Do you have any pictures or can I talk? And sometimes you get the people like, screw off, like I don't have time or no or go away or why are you doing this? Because they think you're like a competitor or you're trying to rat them out or figure out if they're still running old trucks, especially in Southern California. Because they crack down on the the diesel, and they care about the emissions, right? So if you're calling and asking, hey, are you running any old trucks? They're like, are you a reporter? Or are you just trying to? Is this like you're in to try and see if I'm still running trucks, old trucks and whatnot? But yeah,
are you the FBI?
Yeah, but it helps to meet them in person, And you just walk in, you're like, hey, this, because then I can whip out my phone. And I'd be like, no, look at this. Like, this is, and they're like, oh my goodness, I used to run one of those. Yeah. Care about that kind of stuff. Yeah.
That's real. I mean, the knowledge base is just crazy. It's phenomenal to see there's this much knowledge into trash.
Oh, yeah.
Well,
I mean, our industry is overlooked. Like they have this kind of stuff for trains and fire trucks and tractors. Right. And, I'm like, cool. I that's not my thing. Like I want, where's that same level of passion and care and whatnot for, garbage trucks? Like,
right. So, I mean, it's kind of like how I started the podcast. You see podcasts on everything today. Nothing on garbage, nothing on what we do. Hang on, we're a big part of history too. We should be showcased a little bit. We do a lot of work for the community. unrecognized all the time. So, I mean, definitely, I see the drive. And like I said, since you guys have been showing me this stuff, man, this has been awesome. And Zach's always sending me videos or something like that, and I always got to watch it, or an article of something, and I got to read it. Anthony's explained a lot. Like when you hear Anthony's early life when he was on the older trucks, it's really interesting. It's definitely really interesting to hear it. Definitely always overlooked.
Well, the benefit that I had was when I grew up in this business. We used to get brochures in the mail from manufacturers. So I kept all that.
So you were like kind of a hoarder with that stuff.
That's how I built. Well, that's kind of how the museum started, was just years and years of collecting brochures and doing. Well, I was doing what Zach was back when we didn't have internet. I was calling companies and they would send me brochures in the mail. And, we never had internet back then. So you had to like call or write a letter to these companies to beg them for brochures.
Right.
So I was fortunate that we had a lot of Heil dealers, Leach dealers that were in our area that every time I turned around, there was always brochures being sent to my dad all the time. And then, of course, BFI had stuff that when you bought a piece of equipment from them, they would send you stuff in the mail out of the blue. And then just for some reason, I just kept that stuff. So like Zach said, we have Eric to rely on. I'm more on the hauling part and the learning the business and being in the business and just hands-on, where Zach's more of the knowledge of the experience of the equipment and how the stuff works and that. So I think we got a really good team with the knowledge that between the both of us to really make this thing work, because without that, you don't have the historical part.
Yeah, and they go hand in hand. Like, I think I talked about this before. Like the haulers drove a lot of the innovation behind, the leaps in technology. Because either they figured it out themselves, because why wait for a company to solve the problem that I need on my truck? It's just easier. They had to be crafty, because a lot of times, if you have a truck that's broken down or I need to do something, you fix it yourself, because there's you can make money in this business, but if it's just you or you're super small, like every penny counts towards your bottom dollar, your bottom line.
Right. I can't wait till you guys expand.
Well, and see, history's repeating itself right now.
Is it? How is that?
So that's better. Yeah. So history has repeated itself now, because now you're starting to see guys with pickup trucks starting back up. That has never been really a thing until the last 5 years. Seems like you see more and more guys on Facebook asking for advice on, I got 300 home route. What do I do? What kind of trailer do I buy? Do I buy a small garbage truck? There seems like a lot of that all of a sudden in the last year. It's really drove to this level.
And then,
go ahead, Sean.
Now they got the systems that get mounted on the back of a pickup truck that is like a packer, like a mini packer. Back. That's awesome.
That's a very European thing.
It's awesome. By the way, we have one. I think we have one in our area.
Yep.
You watch it on the.
Yeah, I think Perkins makes one.
Really cool.
But yeah, like you go over to Europe, and it's all small little garbage bodies like that, because the streets are so narrow. They're what we consider under CDL, and they're doing their own thing. It's quite fascinating. I haven't gotten too much into it, like research, but yeah, there's a lot of stuff out there, and Eric has a lot of stuff on his website, Classic Refuse Trucks, on the European side. But Anthony and I have been talking for a couple months now. After I came out to when I went through Iowa on my way out here to Virginia last year, putting together like some sort of convention or a conference or something to help these small guys out, where we bring in some experts, because there's a lot of smart guys out there that have been doing this for a very long time. Right. Because a lot of the questions that we're seeing online in some of the groups that we're in are like, okay, how do I, I have, 300 customers and I got a pickup truck. How do I, what's my next step? How do I expand? Where do I get capital?
I'll be back.
All right. Yeah, that's really that's actually a good idea. You should do some like host some events somewhere.
Yeah. So what Anthony and I were thinking about doing is partnering with the NWRA, which is more. So there's basically two organizations out there. There's SWANA, which is more focused on the municipality side. So like city government, stuff like that. And then you have NWRA, which is more, it is the private guys. And the NWRA in Iowa isn't, I don't know, most chapters have an annual meeting and whatnot, but the one in Iowa isn't, they do it in the middle of the week and not a lot of people show up and they go to like a baseball game or something like that. But I was thinking, it'd be cool to do a waste museum sponsored event and bring in and make it multi-state. So you do like something like, let's see, you do private companies in Iowa, Minnesota, Illinois, Nebraska, it's kind of the states that touch Iowa. You bring them in for a weekend and maybe it's like a golf tournament one day, but it's museum sponsored and they come over to the museum. We have, we can have it sponsored by, we can have dealers and manufacturers come out and bring their stuff, but you just make it a time where we're kind of like a mini waste expo. Right. You're actually doing something.
Right. That's a good idea. That's honestly a good idea.
But we could do it regionally too. We could have one, like Iowa would be a good midpoint for the Midwest. We could do something up in, like in the Northeast somewhere. Right. Pacific Northwest, Southern California, Texas, Arizona area, right. Colorado, Denver would be a good like mid Rockies. So you could bring in people from like Minnesota, North and South Dakota, Wyoming, maybe even Arizona, New Mexico.
Definitely. I mean, it's definitely a smart idea. Like, and to give the education of starting a business or something like that as well out there, that's knowledgeable too. That would help out tremendously.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I try. So you'd want to try to capture, like your medium-sized guys down to like your mom and pop guys, but you bring you try to make it affordable for the small guys who are either just starting out or they're trying to figure out how to expand and whatnot, and you have like sit down like breakout sessions for those guys where they can sit down, they can ask questions of these, how did you get to the size that you are today, etc.
Right. That's why on our other channel we're actually trying to bring owners on because we want their stories, but we also want to give a little bit of education with it. So you guys that are starting, because a lot of them owners actually started that way. They started out of a pickup truck, then they just grew and grew and grew and grew. So to hear one of their stories, maybe that'd inspire more people to go out there and get their hands dirty with it themselves with just a pickup truck.
Yeah,
and it'd be awesome. That's something I really want to do. Like that's something I really want to do. I also want to do something with recycling, where we go into a recycling plant and talk to the people and let them put their story on there of how recycling is done. But that's something totally different. It's interesting.
Yeah. No, it's interesting. Yeah, for sure.
I'm pretty sure that when you used to run recycling, you'd rather run recycling than trash.
No, I'd rather run trash.
Oh, well, like for the boxes in the truck.
No, I'd rather run trash too.
Really? Yeah. I'd rather run recycling because we dump in the landfill and the recycling center is just so much smoother. You just go in, back on the concrete floor, dump it, leave.
True. Yeah.
I mean, it's easier.
Yeah, I would say I agree with you that I hate landfill.
Yes.
Well, I mean,
trash is easier.
But I mean, I don't know. Like there's something satisfying of picking up, 40 boxes, 40 containers, and then, packing out your truck and actually driving onto the scale and you weigh like 10, 12, 13,000 tons versus, picking up the same number of cardboard boxes and, you're sitting there packing the stuff and it doesn't pack and it's just annoying as all get out. You roll over the scale and you're like 2.5, 3 tons.
That is true.
It just seems pointless.
The most I've had in recycling was like 8, 9 ton.
It was probably a really rainy day.
It was a rainy day, definitely. Yeah. Sure. And we got the bigger tandem axle truck, so our trucks are a little bit bigger, and you put a lot of weight on them.
Yeah.
I've crossed the scale with 17, 18 ton normally, and then 21 ton on a really good day. That's some weight, boy.
Yeah.
Some weight. And it's funny because I actually like the maneuvering and the handling of the truck with 21 ton compared to 12 ton.
Yeah, because you actually have weight over your rear axle.
Yep, it handles so much better. Drives down the road so much better. It climbs hills
especially in the snow.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. The only thing that sucks is grabbing the cam because you slide sideways. Neutral bomb the truck. Right to the can, Yeah. Definitely though. I mean, shoot. But I mean that roll-off video you showed, that was inspiring, man. That's really interesting.
Yeah, that's probably one of the my favorite videos that I got out of the Dempster collection. And just when Bob told me he had those, I was like, oh my goodness, I need to get a hold of those because this is something that needs to be shared.
Definitely.
Yeah.
And I see a lot of people viewed it, so that's awesome, man.
Yeah.
It's awesome to give that knowledge out there for people.
Yeah. I mean, that's
and
what we care about.
Yep, correct. Hopefully all of our viewers today enjoyed watching it, and definitely more to come.
Yeah, absolutely.
Definitely. You can do one of them. You can do like a virtual conference too. Like if you want and did your museum idea, we can do it virtually too. Where you're up there talking, or whoever's up there talking, someone's got a camera set up on them.
Yeah, absolutely. We just got to figure out the time and technology.
Yep.
What were you saying, Anthony?
No, I
think Anthony's got a little bit of a delay.
Do some different things.
Yeah. I think you got a little bit of a delay, Anthony.
I don't know what's going on.
That's going to be internet related, but it's crazy because you're downloading pretty fast. So I don't know. We'll fix that. We got
a bunch of snow here, so that might have something to do with what's going on with the internet.
Could be,
probably.
Could be. We're in for a storm tonight. So, what about you, Zach?
Oh no, I'm just south. We're just gonna get rain. we're gonna get a lot of rain.
We're about to get blasted with snow tonight.
I don't know. I'm coming up there in a couple weeks. Hopefully, a lot of it's melted off by then.
I'm calling in snow for the day you come up.
Oh, fuck you.
This is what real.
I've been up there in real snow. I've been up to North Bay, Canada in February. That's some snow. That's some snow. Yeah.
I gotta go to Buffalo when Buffalo's getting slammed.
Oh.
They get
that's snow.
Buffalo gets snow.
Yeah.
Ohio too. They get some snow.
Well, yeah, you guys got the Great Lake effect.
Yeah. Two Great Lakes touching each other. So
yeah.
They get hit hard. A little bit harder than us. We get powder dusting to them and they get mounds.
Yeah.
I don't know. But yeah, I mean, definitely want to continue this and show more. Like, this is awesome.
Oh yeah. No, I got plenty more stuff we can go through. But yeah, hopefully next week, Eddie, you can come on. That'd be awesome to sit down and talk to you about, your family's history.
He's had a lot of snow too.
Yeah.
Snow's awesome.
He's got the same stuff we got.
Yeah. I like it. We're doing front load because that makes it so much more challenging. I like challenges.
Yeah.
Okay. Cool. You learn
front load is a challenge.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah, definitely be cool to get you on.
Yeah.
For sure.
Cool. All right. Well, we're coming up on an hour and a half. So
you guys all have a good night. Be safe. And good night.
Yep. See you guys.
Everything ends.
All right.